Welcome to the Beyond Bloated Podcast. I'm Carly, a certified health coach helping women ditch their bloat without having to follow super strict and stressful protocols. As someone who's struggled with all sorts of digestive issues for over 5 years, I know exactly how you're feeling. I also know that there's a way to feel better, and it doesn't have to involve tons of expensive supplements and insanely restrictive diets. Join me as I share all of my bloat-busting wisdom to help you say goodbye to that bloated belly and regain your confidence. It's time for you to move beyond bloated. It is the season to eat, which is awesome because I personally love eating. And I love eating holiday foods like Christmas dinner with turkey and pie and mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes are my ultimate favorite. But what isn't super easy is knowing how to navigate all these delicious meals when you have food sensitivities. When I realized I had food sensitivities over 6 years ago now, it was a devastating moment for me. I'm not going to lie. I had a very terrible diet all the way through my whole life up until then. And so I didn't know how to eat. My diet consists of pizza bagels, toaster strudels, cereal, anything quick and ready from a box that I don't have to cook because I didn't know how to cook. So learning that I was now sensitive to gluten and dairy, which were in every single thing that I ate at that time, was a very traumatic experience. However, even though I had a terrible diet up until that point, as soon as I discovered gluten and dairy are causing you to be in excruciating pain, shitting your pants, feeling overall terrible, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to eat it. Even though I didn't know how to not eat it, even though I didn't know how to cook, even though I loved those foods, I knew that they were harming me. And even back then, the unhealthy mindset that I had, I was like, well, I don't want to feel like this, so I'm going to figure it out. It is definitely an adjustment period. So if you are new to having food sensitivities, I am going to be focusing mainly on gluten and dairy-free diets because those are just the most common. But this applies to any food sensitivity. If you have any sort of food sensitivity, it can be very challenging to navigate because you're used to eating a certain way, and now you need to change that. That doesn't mean you can't do it. It doesn't mean it's not worth it. It just takes time and it takes effort and it takes practice. You need to learn what has the food that you're sensitive to in it and learn how to swap that out for something that isn't going to cause you pain and discomfort. Even if food sensitivities aren't new for you, it can still be challenging navigating going out to eat. That could be going to a restaurant, going to a friend's place, a family's place for dinner, because maybe you're with people who don't have food sensitivities and they don't get it. And that's very common, unfortunately. And so maybe even though when you're at home and you're living in your own life, it's easy for you to stick to your diet. But as soon as you step out with other people, you feel pressured or you feel awkward. You feel weird because you can't eat what everyone else is eating. So maybe you just do it. You just eat what they're eating and then you feel like shit afterwards. We've all been there. I know I have. I was once new to food sensitivities. Like I said, I went from extremely unhealthy to no more gluten and dairy. And I also went out and ate at people's houses who didn't have food sensitivities. And I had to tell them what was up, what's going on. And so now in today's episode, I'm going to help you do the same. So whether you're new to food sensitivities or you just don't really know how to navigate the social aspect of it, in this episode, I'm going to help you navigate holiday events, dining out, and even how to organize your own home. Because maybe you live with someone who doesn't have the same sensitivities as you, and you get tempted by their food over on their shelf. I think the most important part to start with is you need to accept that you are doing this for yourself. You are eliminating these foods from your diet because they cause you pain, they cause you discomfort. If you were to eat these things at someone else's house, that would ruin the night for you. And then that would be unfortunate for them because then they don't get to hang out with you the rest of the night. So this isn't a selfish move. You saying, I cannot eat gluten or I cannot eat dairy. This is not you dissing their home-cooked meal that they made for you. This is you looking out for yourself. And in return, you're looking out for everyone else at the event because they probably don't want you in the washroom all night. Think of it this way. If someone came to your house for dinner and they told you that they have an anaphylactic allergy to peanuts, but you made a dish with peanuts in it, would you hate this person for not being able to eat your meal? Because what you would feed to them could potentially kill them. Now, I'm not saying that gluten will kill you. I don't imagine you're eliminating it for no reason at all. So it's the same concept. If someone made something and they knew it would cause you harm, they're not going to want that. If you don't tell them, they don't know. And they would feel so bad knowing that the food they gave you made you sick. So to avoid this whole fiasco from happening in the first place, I recommend you just share with the host ahead of time what your food sensitivities are. Do you know how common it is to have food sensitivities these days? You are not like some weird random 1 in a million person. This is common, okay? If you tell the person hosting the event, I have a sensitivity to gluten or dairy or whatever it is, they're not going to be like, what the hell? That's outrageous. I've never heard of this before. Unless they live under a rock, I guess. But it is common. You are not the only one. And telling them ahead of time allows them to prepare for that better. And you can offer to bring a dish that fits your needs so everyone can enjoy it. And you don't have to put all the pressure on them. So you can just let them know very kindly, hey, I have a sensitivity to this and this. I just wanted to check what's on the menu. So that way I can prepare and bring something that I can eat and also share with everybody else. That way you know what the host is making. You can prepare around that, bring something that you can eat, and everyone else can enjoy it too. I assume you are going to eat at somebody's house that is a family member, a friend, not a random stranger. This person cares about you and your well-being. They do not want you sick. They do not want to feed you something that is going to make you ill. So if you just let them know in advance, I think that's a much better option than showing up and just not eating anything. And then they're wondering, why the hell is this person not eating anything? Communication is key here, friends. It is not your fault that you have food sensitivities. Do not feel ashamed. Do not feel like you are a burden. You deserve to eat a meal and feel good after. If you are attending a catered event, something like a wedding even, this is even easier in my opinion. These places are designed to suit a ton of different dietary needs. They for sure will know what a gluten sensitivity or a dairy sensitivity is. Even any other random sensitivity that you have, if you tell them, I cannot eat this, they have to accommodate you. So don't feel bad about that one either. This is definitely something that they get all the time. It is their job to cater food events for tons of different people. Do you think you're the only one who they've ever had with a sensitivity? Absolutely not. I will give you a little tip on this one. I have found that eating at a restaurant or any sort of service industry, unless it is like a specific health food where they take these types of things seriously, I tell them I have an allergy. I say I have a very severe allergy to gluten and dairy, and I cannot eat it at all. Because if you tell them, like, I'm going to have an allergic reaction in your restaurant if you give me this shit, then they're going to take you a lot more serious than if you say, oh, I'm a little sensitive to it. Hey everyone, Carly here. If you are tired of feeling bloated and uncomfortable, which I know you are, I have something that can really help. My free ultimate guide to bloat busting. I've been there myself, and I know how frustrating it is to try super restrictive diets and expensive supplements without getting results. If those methods were going to work, they would have worked by now. That's why I created this guide to offer you a different approach. In the ultimate guide to bloat busting, you'll learn techniques to listen to your body and eat with intention, avoiding overeating and choosing foods that truly benefit you, tips for proper hydration to support digestion and reduce bloating, a guide to delicious foods that promote a healthy gut and how to easily incorporate them into your meals, and effective methods to manage stress, which plays a huge role in gut health. These simple, practical strategies can make a big difference in your daily life, helping you feel lighter, more energized, and comfortable in your own skin. Ready to ditch the bloat without strict diets or costly supplements? Download your free copy today at beyondbloated.com/ultimate-guide and start your journey to a bloat-free life. Now, let's get back to it. Many times I have said I have a sensitivity and I have been brought in a gluten bun by mistake, and I've started to eat that gluten bun. Whereas now I say I have a very severe allergy. They take you seriously. So twist the truth a little, make it seem worse than it is. They're more likely to listen to you if you do that. Another thing you can do for events is bring an emergency snack with you. I have a protein bar in my fanny pack at all times. I never know when I'm going to be in a tight situation and I need a quick snack. So I just bring it with me. So if you are going somewhere and it's like a catered event, it's a family event, whatever, just bring a little snack with you in your bag. And that way, if they're bringing out appetizers and you can't have any of the appetizers, you still have your protein bar. This actually happened to me at a friend's wedding. I was able to eat the main course, but I was not able to eat any of the appetizers. And so they were walking around, bringing appetizers. Everyone's chatting. I'm starving. But guess what? I had a 14-gram protein bar in my bag. So everyone's eating their little finger foods. I busted out my protein bar and ate that. That held me over until the meal I could eat, and then I was good to go. Now, I know we all have that one friend or family member who straight up doesn't get it. And they try to peer pressure you into eating the meal that they made, the dish they made, whatever. And they go, oh, a little bit's not going to kill you. How you handle this is going to depend on your personality. You could approach it very seriously and let them know, no, I'm not going to die, but I will be severely sick. I will have to leave because I will be in pain. Whatever your symptoms are, you can let them know in a tell it how it is manner. If I eat this food, even a little bit, this will happen to me. It has happened to me before. I appreciate you making this, but no thank you. The other option is you can make a joke about it. If you have a family member who's like, oh, try my pasta dish made with real full gluten and tons of cheese. And you're like, oh, well, actually, if I ate that, I'd be shitting my pants in the washroom for the rest of the night. So no, thank you. You know your family and friends best. You know what approach they will take best. And you know what you're most comfortable with. So I am very for speaking the truth. Don't beat around the bush. Don't say, oh, I'm not hungry. No, thank you. Just straight up tell them. Like I said, there is no reason to be ashamed of your food sensitivities. It is not your fault, and you will be sick. Okay, so it's not a lie. It's not you being picky. This is a legitimate sensitivity that will cause you pain and discomfort. Why would your family want that for you? They wouldn't. So don't feel bad. Just tell them no. The more they hear it, they're going to get used to it, and eventually they'll be like, okay, I don't give a shit anymore. She doesn't want that. Repetition. Get it in their brains. Awesome thing is that you do not have to miss out on any of the traditional holiday foods. I eat stuffing, gravy and mashed potatoes with the turkey, pie, all of the things you could imagine. I eat it. And that's because I just eat the gluten, dairy-free, better for you versions of all of those things. So if you aren't sure how to do that, the internet is a great place to be. Look up recipes on Pinterest for like gluten-free stuffing, gluten-free gravy, blah, blah, blah. All of it will be there. You can make everything that you want to eat with the ingredients that won't make you sick. You don't even need to tell anybody that it is gluten and dairy-free. I know there are people out there who think because it has a gluten-free symbol on it, it tastes like terrible. Don't tell them. Let them eat it. Let them say how good it is. And then if you want, you can pull a gotcha and be like, oh, by the way, that's gluten-free pie crust. I know navigating friends and family is going to be very individual, very tricky situation in some instances. I'm very lucky where my mom and my brother are both gluten and dairy-free as well. My boyfriend's sister is, his mom is, my brother's fiance is a vegetarian. So we've got all sorts of things going on. So we are a very accommodating household, but I know not everybody's is that way. So do what you are comfortable with, but I highly, highly recommend you stand your ground. You stand up for yourself. Like I said, you deserve to have a holiday meal that leaves you feeling good and not running for the toilet. Now let's talk about restaurants. I touched on this a little bit with the events, like if you're going to a catered event. But if you're going to a legitimate like chain restaurant or somewhere local, it's so easy to research ahead of time. Like I love looking at restaurant menus. If someone's like, hey, let's go for brunch, let's go for dinner, whatever. I'm on there looking up menus, trying to find the best options for me. A lot of times I pick because I like researching restaurants, and my friends and family kind of know me as like the food girl. So they trust my opinion and they're like, hey, if Carly says it's good, it's probably good. Even if they don't have sensitivities, they still trust my taste. If your people will let you pick the restaurant, even better. But obviously that's not always the case. So in that situation, you can still look up the menu ahead of time and decide what you can and cannot eat. You can even call the restaurant. Like if you don't want to ask in front of everybody, You can call them and be like, hey, I have these sensitivities. I was looking at these dishes. Is that possible to do? That way you have the information ahead of time and you don't have to ask in front of everyone if that makes you uncomfortable. And then you feel very confident going to the meal. You're not stressed. You know what you're having. You picked it out ahead of time. You confirmed it's safe. You can just go there, enjoy the company, and eat your meal with a very relaxed mindset, knowing this isn't going to make me sick. And that's so important because, like I've said a million times, we cannot digest food when we are stressed. So if you're out at a restaurant, you're stressed out about the meal, you're stressed out about the people around you thinking you're weird for your sensitivities, you're not going to be able to digest it, even if it is safe for you. If it is gluten that you are avoiding, there is an app/website called Find Me Gluten Free. And it has a ton of different restaurants that have a gluten-free option or menu, or maybe they're dedicated gluten-free. And it also has reviews by people with celiac disease and gluten sensitivity who have gone to these restaurants and they rate it and they give a little comment saying, yes, they understood cross-contamination, or they served me a gluten bun and almost killed me. That way you have that information ahead of time. And they also post like, I had this dish, it was good. So you can get tips from that. So I'll drop that link in the show notes for you so you can check that out. I use that a lot when I'm traveling, so I can find like really good gluten-free restaurants when I'm away. If you are forced to go to a restaurant that you did not pick and you would never choose in a million years, like I had to do in the summer, my baseball team went out for dinner and they picked a freaking terrible restaurant that I literally hate. It's so bad. They have like 0 gluten-free options, especially gluten and dairy-free, and the quality of the food is terrible. But you know what? I'm a team player. I wanted to go hang out with the team, so I went. I looked ahead of time at the menu, of course, but actually the thing I wanted on the menu, I couldn't have. So I picked fajitas or something, and then I ordered them, and they're like, oh, we actually dust our rice with gluten. I'm like, why the F do you do that? So my first choice I could not have. When all else fails, you get the frickin' salad. Do I recommend the salad? No, the salad sucks. I don't want the salad. But if you are in a really tight spot and you were like me and your first pick was a bust and everything else sucks, I had a salad. I had a grilled chicken salad. Was it good? No. But at least I was able to eat something. And then I told my team, I said, I'm not coming back here. So I said, next time when we pick a place, please don't pick this place. And if you do, I will not be attending. Keep in mind, I have had food sensitivities for over 6 years. I am a very blunt and straightforward person as it is, and I'm just used to advocating for myself. So I have no issue telling people I'm not doing that, but I know it's not easy for everyone. So build up to it. You can do it in a nicer manner. You can recommend another place, be like, oh, hey, that's awesome that you guys want to eat here. I checked the menu. There's not a lot for me. Could we go here instead? And the thing is, my baseball team, I'm not the only one with food sensitivities. There was like 4 of us there who were like, this place sucks. So that also makes it easier when you're not the only one suffering. And finally, let's talk about setting up your own kitchen for success. So if you're gluten and dairy free, you're new to that, or you live with someone who is not sensitive to anything and they don't want to eat your food, it's important to separate it. So even if you don't have celiac disease and you're not like super reactive if there's cross-contamination, separating it just helps you not accidentally eat their food. That happened to me not that long ago. I'm very, very aware of what I can and cannot eat. It's like so natural to me. It jumps out at me. Like if I pick something up, I'm like, this has gluten in it. It's like a sixth sense at this point. But my boyfriend bought his own soy sauce for some reason. And there were 2 soy sauces in the fridge. Gluten-free, not gluten-free. And I was just kind of dancing around, making my food, not really paying attention because we usually just have gluten-free soy sauce. So I make my whole meal and then I dump his soy sauce all over it. And then I look at it and I'm like, no, I just dumped gluten all over this food I made. And I was so pissed off because I just spent 20 minutes making food and then poured gluten all over it. And I'm not going to lie, I did debate for like 2 seconds. I was like, should I just eat it? I was like, no, I haven't had gluten in so long. I don't know what's going to happen if I eat this. So I made another one. It's so important to separate it. If we had our own shelves, I would have known this is my shelf. I wouldn't have grabbed his. So just keep things on separate shelves, Maybe keep your gluten-free condiments on the left, gluten on the right. Or if you have like 3 cupboards, one cupboard is dedicated to all gluten-free things, or 2. I think you should have more space. Take up 2 cupboards worth of your gluten-free, dairy-free foods. That way you just know where they are, and it's always a safe bet. Whoever you live with might actually be open to the idea of sharing meals as well. I know my boyfriend is very open to that. We basically have 0 food in the house that has gluten or dairy. He buys his own little brick of cheese once in a while. He has his own pasta that is made with gluten. Everything else, we pretty much just share. Like, we'll get rice crackers, we'll get meat, which is already gluten and dairy free, veggies, already gluten and dairy free, grains like quinoa, rice, already gluten and dairy free. So if you're just buying like staple whole food items, there's not really much to worry about. It's when you start buying more packaged things and condiments and things like that, then it gets a little tricky. But I can honestly say less than 5% of our food in this condo right now has gluten or dairy in it. If you end up hosting an event, like a holiday event or just any sort of event, and the people coming over don't have food sensitivities that are maybe weird about eating gluten dairy free for whatever reason, you can also just make a basic meal that is naturally gluten and dairy free. Like, if you make chicken or salmon or steak or any meat, that's fine. Any grain like quinoa or rice, also fine. And then roasted veggies. Like, there's no gluten and dairy in that. No one's going to be like, oh, you made the gluten-free Brussels sprouts? How dare you? You know, it's already that way. So make a basic meal that everybody likes. And again, you don't even need to tell people that it's gluten-free. Like, if you use pasta and you use brown rice pasta, I would be shocked if someone ate it and was like, oh, is this a gluten-free pasta? I wouldn't worry about telling people that this doesn't have gluten or dairy in it. It's more concerning if someone has a sensitivity for them to know what is in it. They don't need to know what's not in it. That's my take anyway. It's not like you need to warn people, oh, by the way, this doesn't have real cheese in it. Too bad. You know, it's not going to kill them to not eat cheese, but it is going to hurt you to eat cheese. Basically, if you have food sensitivities of any type and you have to go to a restaurant, a friend's place, or even navigating your own home, if you plan ahead and you advocate for yourself and you just create an environment that is naturally supportive of your diet, it becomes so much easier to eat out with confidence. You do not need to sacrifice your health for someone else's feelings. They will get over it. You will suffer for a lot longer than their ego. As someone who has been gluten and dairy free for over 6 years, I can tell you that it gets easier for sure. And it's also so worth it. Like, I eat every meal, every holiday. I eat out with friends. I go to restaurants. I go to their houses. I go on vacation. And I have not touched either of those things by peer pressure or by force because I had no other option. There has not been a single situation where that has happened. And that's because I don't let it happen. I stand up for myself. I tell the people around me what's going on with me, why I'm doing this, and I stick to it because I want to feel good. And to me, eating a piece of garlic bread at dinner is not worth the consequences. What actually tends to end up happening is your healthy habits start to rub off on other people. And I'm not saying that other people need to be gluten and dairy free necessarily. Maybe they do. I know a few who should be, but they're not. But by you standing up for yourself and being like, no, I'm making a healthy choice for me. I'm making a better food decision for my health. That is contagious. And people start to kind of question their own choices and they start to pick up on it. I know over the years, I have accidentally made the people around me healthier. For example, my boyfriend, we live together. He would rather just eat the healthy food that I bring in than go out and buy his own shit. So because of that, he eats healthier. He also sees the way that I eat. I don't push it on him, and he makes better choices when he goes out to eat on his own. It's like subliminal messaging. You see it, you hear it over and over and over. It starts to sink in, and they start to adapt those habits as well. So by you sticking to your own health needs, you're helping others as well. So this holiday season, go out there, tell everyone what's up, and try a new recipe. You know, go search for the gluten-free stuffing or any of the foods that you have been missing out on since you found out you have sensitivities. Go and make it, because there's no reason why you need to miss out on your favorite foods. Just make them a little differently. They're still so good. If you need help finding such recipes, or you're looking for different ideas, or you just want a hype man so you can go to your family gathering and lay down the law, hit me up on Instagram at beyond.bloated or send me an email, carlyclose@beyondbloated.com. I hope you have an awesome holiday season, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you for listening to the Beyond Bloated podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. And don't forget to share this podcast with your fellow gut goddesses. If you'd like to chat about today's episode, send me a DM on Instagram at beyond.bloated. Until next time, bye!